Hello, this is Bridget Rao with Divine Essentials. Okay guys, we are moving on with Alcyone Light Healing. We have part 10, and this is about expanding your vocabulary or your dictionary, and even if that's something bad. And so basically, I think I have mentioned this in earlier videos, but the dictionary or the vocabulary, what I mean is, by learning more things, you will be able to channel more things. You will be able to help people with more things because you will have more vocabulary within you. And you may find that when you start channeling, you have a vocabulary or you have a dictionary of all new things that maybe you didn't even realize you knew. Because I do feel like these things are up there. It's weird. It's really weird. I have clear knowing, so I know for myself specifically it's something that's probably not going to be as much for other people that don't have that as their main clear, but it's something you can exercise and it's something you can get stronger with, and you can, you know, develop your dictionary building itself. And it's funny because these things always happen with around the same time as I'm like making these videos for specific things. Today I had a thought, not even connecting till now, just now. I'm like, oh, that's funny because it makes sense for this. I had put on a video and I fell asleep. I took a nap. But when I woke up, like the video was like still on, and I was like, oh, well, I probably absorbed it. But I also read something about Edgar Casey or one of those people who was like a channel and somebody who did a lot of automatic writing and things like that. And I think it could have been him, it could have been Tesla. One of them slept on books, and the next day would have like all of the information from the book in their head. It was like they just slept on it and they just absorbed the information. There's other people I know who have like sped read and done things like that, and that would probably also help you, like if you could, you know, read more, write more. I find though, again, that these words or these things may already be up in your head. Like maybe you heard it once and you may not have known the definition of the word, but just by the placement of the word where somebody says it or how it is said or how it's conveyed, you may be like aware of its essence and aware of it on a level that you don't even realize, because our subconscious is always picking things up. So even if you never like spoke a word, but you've read it somewhere, you may have it up in there. Even if, you know, it's just something that you heard while you were asleep, you may have it up in there. And for example, I noticed that like when I channel, not only is there an accent, but there is these words that I don't use. Like, I'm not like, oh, there's a myriad. Like, I don't say that. But they do. They're like a myriad of whatever they're talking about. And I'm like, I know I'm channeling when I get those words. Because I don't use those words, you know. There's nothing wrong with those words. It's just like, I don't know, it just feels different. It feels like somebody else is speaking through me. Now, again, when we channel with a filter. So again, you learning more things will open you up to be able to channel in a bigger way, or in a way that maybe can reach more people or could touch specific people, because there's going to be people out there that want to hear the word myriad over many. You know what I mean? There's people out there who would prefer to hear many, though. So if you are a channel and you feel like, oh, I don't have all those fancy words and I don't have that fancy this and that, it doesn't matter. It's going to come through you the way it needs to come through you, so that you can communicate to the right people the messages that are coming through you. So you could be somebody that becomes like, you know, like just more laid back, or somebody that is with more of an attitude. I've noticed too, when I channel, there is the younger version that's like very sweet and very kind and very nice. And then there's the older version that's like the crone. And I'm always afraid that she's upsetting people or making people feel a certain type of way. But every time she comes through and says what she has to say in a way that she says it, it's like people respect her. It's like they just know, and even if it's coming out of me, even the people who've come here in person have been like, you change. Everything about you changes. Your face changes. Your voice changes. The energy changes. It's like, it's a powerful experience for them. I think it's also been a powerful experience for the people, like when I used to do the Q&A, and they would ask a question and get the answer. Even the people who just listen to the answers outside of asking any questions would notice a big shift, and would notice, like, the messages, like the words, the things that are coming through are expansive. They're ideas that I don't walk around thinking about all the time. But through channeling and through doing this work, it is there. It's like, I don't necessarily need to channel them anymore to know the information that I've channeled, you know what I mean? But I still need to channel to learn more, and I still need to channel to grow my dictionary and my vocabulary. So what I mean by that is, like, what I just said by, like, myriad, right? Having things like that you can kind of give yourself, like, all right, I'm channeling this frequency because I recognize this frequency. When maybe Mother Mary comes through me, she carries the blue energy, and again, it's going to depend on you and your wisdom or your way of connecting. You might see her, and so all right, like, you don't need clear knowing. If you see somebody, that's who that is. And maybe you hear her. So once you get established, what is your name, and they says Mother Mary or Kuan Yin or whoever it is, then okay, then you probably pick up on that voice over time, you know. But again, you would need to practice to get to that point. And the end of level 7, what I'm going to be doing is activations and meditations. So it doesn't matter if you're somebody that can't pay for the activations, you will still get the chance to feel the energy and frequency of the different star beings, of the Pleiadians, of the Sirians, of the Lyrans, of the Andromedans, of the Arcturians, because they all carry a different energy and a different frequency. And that's why when I meet people, you know, and again, I feel like this is part of the dictionary, it's not just like words, okay? It's energy, it's frequency, it's a vast book of, it's like the Akashic Record, basically, but I want you to think of it as a dictionary of these things that you're picking up over time, that you're adding to your dictionary, of ways that you identify who you're connecting with, and what their energy is, or what their color is, or what their sign is that they give to you, or a feeling that they give to you, or a vision that they give to you, or the sound that they give, whatever it is, and use the one that is the main one for you as your gateway or as your key, you know, to enter those into your dictionary, to know, like, all right, when Mother Mary comes through, she shows me, because they will do that. That's why I always say, too, like, you're never going to be wrong when you're channeling or you're reading for somebody, because unless you doubt it, unless you doubt what Spirit is showing you or giving to you, or you think too much about it, you're like, ugh, right? Because if I look at the eagle or the condor, and I'm like, the eagle and condor, back in the day, I didn't know that the eagle condor was an archetype for the heart. I didn't know that. So when I looked at the eagle condor, I may have been like, oh yeah, it's probably about, like, rising above, you know, if I knew the thing about them going above the clouds. I didn't even know that, so I really don't even know. Maybe I would have thought, like, you know, travel. It probably would have been something basic like travel. But as I learned things like the Munay Ki and the archetype, and that is connected to the heart chakra, and that they do rise above the storms, and they don't, you know, go through everything underneath it like all the other animals do. So they rise above the storms of life, and they connect to your heart. So they help us to see through the eyes of our heart and our soul, and they have a whole different perspective, and they see the fullness of everything, the little tiny thing in the field that's getting eaten by a bigger thing in the field. But, you know, we could feel sad about that, or realize that bigger thing in the field needs to live too, and maybe it's got babies, it's taking things back to, and the babies would die if it didn't do that, and oh my God, you know? So it's like, where do you, but it's a vastness of expansion, and I think that's a perfect example for what I'm trying to convey with your dictionary. It should be a vastness of expansion that you are gathering through doing the work, through meditating, through connecting, through writing, through doing anything that resonates for you. You could be reading, you could be watching videos. Like in the beginning for me, I watched a lot of videos. I watched I didn't even need to watch it at a certain point. Like, I would be drawing, or I would be doing my art, or I'd be cleaning the house, or just doing something while I was absorbing, and I was learning, and I was, you know, listening to other channelers. Like, I would listen to The Bringers of the Dawn by Barbara Messiniak, or I would listen to just different things. And it was another thing where it's funny, because all of those things gave me confirmation on stuff that I was already feeling, or thinking, or knowing, or having happen, or hearing that these other people have a similar accent when they channel, or hearing that they use similar wording when they channel. So it's like, and again, you can listen to somebody, or you can, you know, kind of get the nuances of things, but when you sit down and you channel for like 2 to 3 hours, and you're connecting with specific people, and you don't know what they're going to ask you, and you know what I mean, it puts you into a position of like, wow, this could go really bad. Like, what if they don't come through? What if they say the wrong thing? What if I say the wrong thing? What if I'm not really connected to them, and I just think I am, and I've just gotten lucky all this far? All those doubts are going to be there, no matter what, you know. But over time, they go away. Over time, they go away, because you are like, there's no fucking way. And the people who connect with you, and the people who resonate with you, because there will be people out there that don't resonate with you, especially if you put yourself like on YouTube. But those people don't matter. And I don't even, I'm so lucky, because like I see videos on YouTube or Facebook, and I just see like full of hate, like this person's stupid, ba boop a da boop a da boop. Something about Adele the other day, right? It was like, she should just quit, she's horrible, she's so depressing. But I noticed that was the thing that was said by like a couple people, and so then everybody else was like, and they all just fucking beat up on her and said the exact same things. It was like there was these main 3 insults that were just being spown. Oh yeah, yep. And let's see how many fucking ways we can say that about this person, because they made a comment at their own show where people went and paid to see her, and were like there for her show, and she was like, she just stopped and was like, I just have a question about the stupid thing that was going on with all the Titan and the Titanic and all of that. She was like, how many of you would take the opportunity to boop it a boop? I don't even know. I got that from the comments, because I didn't click on it. I didn't go see I just saw the hate, and I was like, occasionally I get hate. Occasionally I get people who are triggered. Occasionally I get people who are just weird trolls. Like, especially when you go live, you know, people just show up to troll you and to get a reaction. So if you don't give them a reaction, if you don't feed their energy, if you just ignore them, they will go away. But I have been very lucky in the sense that I don't seem to have a lot of that go on, where it's like people just come and hate. Even if they don't resonate or whatever, it's like they go away. I really am very lucky in that sense, because when you see 100 awesome comments and there's one negative one, you focus on the one negative one, like, and it pisses you off. And I know I used to get tested with it. I used to get triggered by it all the time, with like, because people say shit. But like, I noticed that when I stopped feeding into it, or saying, like, letting it go back and forth, when I stopped doing that, it really did die down. It's very rare that I ever have somebody be like, and attack me. And even when they do, the way that I respond to them usually makes a big difference in how they come back at me. I've gotten a lot of apologies. I've gotten a lot of, you know, perspectives shifting. But that's, again, because I've learned a lot, and I've seen a lot, and I can read energy. So it's like, even if you have an underhanded, weird little thing there, I pick up on it. I don't always say something about, because it would be a very uncomfortable life to mention to people every time I pick up on their shit. Because that's just what I've been trained to do at this point in my life, where it's like, that's my job. And that's why I spend a lot of time alone, because I can feel the nuances and I can feel the shift, but that's part of that dictionary. It's like, when somebody feels like that, it's likely headed here. And if somebody feels like that, and again, in knowing these things, I also know how to diffuse them or fix them accordingly. Because people are human, and they have human emotion, and they get triggered by things. So if I say something and I sense that person gets triggered, I can try to reverse that, you know, or I can say something else that clarifies what I said, so that they don't spin out of control. I also do it with people in my, like, closer thing, you know, much more. Like, I know when my dad's in a bad mood without seeing him, hearing him, talking to him, or anything. I just know. I know when he's like I just feel it. I can sense it. Sometimes it's a pain in the ass because it can take you down. So you need to protect yourself and put your vortex up and not let other people's get you, because it will, especially as you intensify and broaden that dictionary and start picking up on these nuances of people around you, and just over time learn that people get triggered, and also realize that you get triggered. And if people are showing up in your reality and they're getting triggered at certain things, there's some sort of lesson there. It's either a lesson that's like, you need to remove these people, because if not, you're going to stay at this level with these people that feel those types of ways, because they're going to evoke that feeling inside of you, and it's going to keep reminding you, and it's going to come in, and it's just going to weigh you down over time. Also, there's a fine line with things, and sometimes you're going to notice that, like, some people are going to heal with you and they're going to come with you, and some people are going to stay where they are, but they're not going to disrupt your healing, especially as a healer or somebody that is guiding other people. You know, it's like there's just certain levels, and people can see that clearly, like when they know, like, I shouldn't be mad at you. And even if they do get mad, sometimes people get mad and they come back when they realize, like, you weren't attacking me, or you weren't even doing anything. Possibly it could just be that whatever was going on in your life was triggering me to feel a certain way about my life. And that's just something we need to realize is here on this planet, because of the conditioning, because of the belief systems, because nobody feels adequate. And anybody out there that's been through trauma, or anybody out there that has, like, ADHD, you're going to be hypersensitive to perceived, because it may not even be an actual, like, threat, or it may not even be like like somebody saying something negatively about you, but you could take it that way and think, oh, they're attacking me, or I'm no good, or they're so much better than me, or whatever it is that comes up, you know, oh, they're just bragging, because sometimes that happens too. It's like people perceive you doing a certain thing that you may not be doing. You may just be excited about something and somebody thinks that it's bragging, or you may be excited about something and you want to share it with somebody, and you want to share it with somebody that may be not in a great position at that time. So you need to be sensitive in how you do that, you know, and then let people get to know that too about you. Like, what are the ones that get you upset, you know? And again, like, another way this goes is just being a healer and being sensitive of people's triggers that we don't want to be triggering in them unnecessarily. Like, there's somebody in my life that has a thing about demons, you know, and it's like, anytime you mention that word, it's like, you know, it gets a little upset, and I know this about them, so I always clarify, and I always try to remind them of what that even is. It's like, it's our inner demons, it's our fears, it's us, you know, being in a vibration that's inviting this in, or somebody sending it at us, but we are stronger than it, and we can protect ourselves from it, and we don't need to be afraid of it, because that's what it's going to feed on, is fear and doubt and insecurities, and that's what inner demons are. It's one and the same, you know, and if you can make it less, like, so severe and scary, it would be better for you. But if you know someone in your life that is, you know, sensitive, and you're like, oh yeah, the demon, like, you don't want to say things without reminding them of their power, or without clarifying what you're talking about, or empowering them some way that, like, how they can handle that or deal with that. And then there's going to be people that you notice that no matter what you tell them, no matter how many people tell them, no matter how many times things get told to people, there's just some people who want to have an issue, you know. And I'm not, that's a totally different thing from the demon thing, you know. It's like the demon thing's a demon thing, right? It's like, it's just a trigger word for somebody. We don't want to be, like, irresponsible with that, but we want to add that to our dictionary under the, like, category of this person, because when you bring people into your life, you want to be aware of them. Having an awareness is key in spiritual growth and spiritual healing. Like, if you don't have an awareness of your friend's triggers, if you don't have an awareness of the thing that your friend told you about to some degree. Like, you know, people tell me a lot of stuff, so I don't remember everything, but I remember the important things and the subtle things about the important things that they don't even maybe know, you know, that I know or listen to, but I listen to, and I make note of these things when it's somebody I care about. So make sure that if you're doing, like, and that's why it's hard too to like be a healer for so many people, because it's like you need to be aware of these things and have these little notes and stuff if you're going to be working one-on-one with people, if you're going to be doing readings for them regularly, if you're going to be, you know, connecting with people. And I think that's another reason why I had to like just shut down for a while, is like it takes a toll on you. And every person that comes to watch your videos, and it's like, I was like, I don't even care. I'm not going to do any of, like, I haven't been doing any of the things that I used to do to get thousands of views, because I don't need to now. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't really need to do it, because in the sense, it's like, if these people want to see it, they're going to see it. They're going to come find me. If they're meant to, they're going to find it. I've built myself up to a place now where it's like, if I just am consistent, I don't have to go do all the bells and whistles. I probably will start doing it again as I'm showing people that stuff, that aspect of it. But it's hard to be a healer who's very sensitive, to expand your dictionary, to be super aware of everybody's stuff, and then to have thousands of people who want your energy or your time or your information or whatever be out there thinking about you, connecting with you, looking at you. It doesn't matter if I'm there with you or not. Every person that connects to the video is going to have a thought. And a lot of times when I'm recording these videos, I hear those thoughts and I hear those things. And it's hard to hit play sometimes, or it's hard to publish sometimes, because you can hear those things and you can feel those things. And you know, like, some of that stuff that people are doing and thinking and feeling and whatever is there. It's always going to be there. It's like, don't put yourself away or hide or think like it matters, because if somebody is thinking negatively, or somebody has something to say about you, or somebody, it's like, well, what are they doing with themselves? You know what I mean? Like, obviously they're sitting there still, they're still watching you, so they're getting something from it. And try to look at it the perspective of, like, hopefully whatever's inside of them that's making them react in those ways to the things that I'm saying will start to shift over time, and this can help them in some way. Because that's what we're here to do, is we're here to trigger people, we're here to wake up people, we're here to wake up ourselves, we're here to trigger ourselves, we're here to ascend and grow, and we are here to learn and also adopt and also expand our stuff. So, like, when I say the bad, that's what I meant about the bad, is like, you know, we want to be aware of things, and in the sense of bad. Now, if I'm channeling for people and bad something is coming through, we don't, because I know there's a lot of people out there who will just glaze over it all and just be like, oh, fuck that. And I do it sometimes, depending on who it is, depending on what it is, and depending on where they're at in that moment. Perfect example, I was on the phone with someone recently, and I have a deck that they have. So they know the cards in the deck, I know the cards in the deck, and I was like, and they were kind of, you know, having a moment where they were like, just kind of thinking, overthinking, and freaking themselves out. So I was like, and there was a card that came out, right? All of the cards around it were great. They're like Golden Palace, awesome sauce, amazing, awesome, great. And then there was one that was like Ghostlands. And they heard all of the names. And they're like, what's that one? Out of the dark one. Like, oh no. But it was a good one. It was still a very good card. The book message was like, oh yeah, great. But I knew because of that, right, that person zoomed right in on that. There was another card that I didn't tell them about, because I was like, I'm not even going to tell them about that one. But they had the same deck. So moments later, after I decided I'm just going to skip that one, they get the card themselves at their house. So I'm like, oh my God. So I told them, I was like, I just got that for you, but I was like, I'm just going to skip it. And they were like, what? I'm like, well, how you reacted to Ghostland, I just didn't know. I didn't want to get there. I don't want to make things worse right now. So I was like, but Spirit was like, So even when we intervene in those ways, you will notice that things like that happen, where maybe you don't say something, it's going to get found out by them if it needs to. And so remember that, like, if there is something that's like, you don't want to go there right now, or it's something maybe you're uncomfortable with, or it's something like it's a touchy subject between the two of you, just let it be, and know that like spirit will get the message to them one way or another. And that's just how it works. And then also, if something bad comes through, we can deliver it in a loving way. We can deliver it in a way that doesn't necessarily be like a boom, bomb, but it in a subtle way of like, read between the lines. You know, like if I get the Three of Cups and the Devil and, you know, Justice card and like the you know, Two of Wands, which is basically the Three of Cups is like, there's three people, okay? There's three people in this party. And the Two of Wands is like, I can't make up my mind. The Devil could be like toxic karmic people in our lives or relationships that are, you know, having some stuff go on. And the Justice card is like, there needs to be balanced karma here. You know, let's have some justice. Let's make things right. If all of those things come out, I may feel like somebody's being cheated on, or somebody is, you know, just doing something behind, like maybe somebody's married, or, and again, you could have somebody in that situation and not know that they're in that situation. They may know that they are. That's why a lot of times when people order readings, they say, you don't need to tell me anything, but it'll save us a lot of time and a lot of ifs, maybes, buts, if you let me know that you're like in a third party situation with a karmic person, that either you're married or they're married and you're like the person they're cheating with or whatever it is, because I will get those cards and I will get those possibilities, but I'm not going to slam it on you in the sense of like, maybe you don't know this, so, you know, and that's why also as we learn people and we heal people and we have them, you know, come every week, or we have them get a reading every month, we start to learn those people and what's going on in their life and what are the circumstances behind things that are happening in their world, and what are their biggest triggers, what are their biggest concerns, what is it they're trying to accomplish. So again, it's like we have a dictionary and every page has a different person and every page could have a different animal. So this Sunday is the 11 a.m. version of the class that I taught, not last weekend because I had Jenny over and it got crazy and we had a good time. So I was like, you know, when I looked on Sunday morning, I realized that the RSVP thing was broken on the event. So I'm going to do that right after I get off of here and make sure the RSVP is set for the rest of them. But this one is the one where we're going to talk about numbers, colors, and animals. And all of the animal synchronicity, all of the number synchronicity, all of these synchronicities have just been like boop, 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 boop. I had done the class, Jenny was there, and a few days later, I saw a memory on Facebook of my color deck. It's an oracle deck of all colors and what that color means or represents. And I had been talking about the colors with them. I even, when she came to stay, I gave her the packet, and it's got the colors, and it's got the numbers, and it's got, you know, all the basic stuff that we used and talked about, and why that's important for expanding your dictionary and how you can do that. And then we did a little exercise to see how things tied into their life at that time, and it was like, oh my God. Then a few days later, she sends me a message, and her yard was full of lantern flies, and I was like, oh my God. She was freaking out because she saw them in Facebook in a group for gardening in her area, and it was like, these things will kill all the trees, they're so bad, you need to contact the state, ba 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 ba. And she's like, oh my God. So she's freaking out about them, and I'm like, lantern flies? Oh my God, that sounds awesome. Because since I moved into this house, up until recently, which again is tied to all those things and why we need to expand our dictionary, and what happens is it naturally does. But basically, when I moved in here, there was like an infestation of Japanese beetles and, not an infestation, but just a lot of them, okay? A lot of these Japanese beetle things, which look like ladybugs, but they're not, and stink bugs, okay? Stink bugs, they came over here from another country, somebody brought them over, and it's like, what the fuck, why did you bring these things? Because they've been around since I was a kid. I remember my next door neighbor used to have them, and she would have to catch them in a cup and like let them die in the cup, because if you squish them, they stink. If you just let them die, they squirt out a little like black thing out their ass before they die, and that calls in their friends. If you step on them, it calls in their friends. If you vacuum them, oh my God, you will throw out a vacuum, which I had to do because they were covered out there in our atrium one year, and I was like, oh my God. So I got rid of that vacuum. But they were here for years, okay? And they were here ranging, like, to various degrees. It was like, that was the worst time. And then after that, it was like, they slowly dwindled. But not up until recently, when I finally looked up the meaning, which was like, why didn't you just do this so fucking long ago? Because I had looked up the meaning for the Japanese beetles, which look like ladybugs. And back then, when I did, they started to decrease, like, it so quickly. But I was worried about them because they can go up on the roof of a dog's mouth and you won't even know they're there. And they're not like ladybugs. But anyways, it was, the message around it was basically like a false thing. Like somebody's being false in your life and may not be what it seems to be. So I got, you know, find that out, got rid of the person in my life at the time that I think that was connected to. And lo and behold, I've not really seen any of those bugs. Okay? Then I finally look up the meaning of the stink bug. Now, the stink bug has, like, a hard exterior shell for protection. And they also said it's about intuition. Because you need to use your intuition. You need to get a little, like, clever in how you're going to get rid of these things. Like, the lady that I watched her video, she had 3 of them that came to her house that day. And they were on her screen. And they were just sitting there for hours and hours. So she finally walked over to them and intended to them through telepathy, like, hey guys, what's up? Up and a boop. Thanks for stopping by. You can go. And they left. And I was like, holy shit. So I started talking to the ones around here, and I got rid of a person in my life that I feel like was somebody I needed to protect myself from. I needed to call back my power. I needed to be intuitive and figure out what was actually happening because there was like a fog over my head. And again, we learned these things. So it's like, I used to not believe in a lot of the stuff that I've now directly lived through. Now, I've directly had the experience of it, so it's like, I'm a believer because it's happened to me. And it's just too weird when you go through something like being hexed or cursed or, you know, whatever. I know, I don't think it is like what we think it is. Again, when you expand your dictionary, you'll figure that out in life. Like, people's intention is very powerful. And if somebody's intending to do something to you and they're, like, really, like, set on that, and they're doing, like, things, and they're calling on spirits, and they could be calling on demons, and all of that shit, you get messed up. The first person that did it to me, my arm did not work for so long. The very first videos on my Bridget Rao channel, like, when I was first starting to be, like, consistent on here, there was ones where I was not using this arm because I couldn't shuffle. Everything was just like, whoa. And I had another girl come here after this other person had left in a weird-ass way. And it was like, what is going on? What happened? I don't even understand. This other girl came, and she had made, like, little voodoo dolls, like, cute ones. And I never really thought about it, but I was like, whatever. The first one that had been here, had been practicing something that I had never heard of. I thought it was just a lyric in a song. I didn't know what they did. I was like, I don't care. But she didn't want me to know what she did. So that's kind of like a red flag. And then left a bunch of stuff here, brand new stuff, and she wasn't somebody with a lot of money, so it didn't really make sense for her to go buy shampoo, conditioner, toothbrush, but like you're moving in, brand new stuff, put it in my bathroom, under my sink, all that shit, and then left and never came back. Never came back. And my arm breaks, and I can't move it. And I'm like, oh my god. So, I'm pretty sure she did something, and when that other girl came, she was like, did she leave anything here? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, you need to get it out, cleanse it, move it. And as soon as I did, my fucking arm worked again, and I'm like, oh, okay. So I guess that is real. Alright. And then just recently, I did the curse reverse thing, and it's like my holes on the top of my feet closed up. I don't really have these bruised things on my wrists anymore that were showing up, like, every day, all day, to the point where I was like, oh my god. And then, just, like, my brain is working, like, I figured out, I've had this fan for like 2 years now, and just tonight I put the clicker on the wall, and I looked up the clicker buttons to find out all of the things that it does, and I'm scheduling things, and I'm getting things done, and I'm cleaning, and I'm organizing, hanging up ceilings, and just, my brain is working. So, again, know that, like, it doesn't necessarily, you don't have to subscribe to a religion or a belief system or a, like, way of practice for it to impact you. You just have to be, you know, targeted in a way that it's like, okay, but you become aware of it. You need to be diligent about it. And when you start having those intuitive moments, listen to it. I have been burned so many times by people that it's like, I think this last time it was like, I just didn't want to lose another friend. And I was like, whatever. Like, but I didn't even see how much it was impacting me to the degree it was impacting me, like playing it smaller than I should be, and trying to like put a cap on myself, and eventually that just went down to like way worse than it should be. And it was like the behaviors that would happen at different times made it that way. It was like, I don't want to piss that person off. And it wasn't even like, I was like, why would I care that much? But I did care that much. And again, I feel like that was a part of this thing. And since seeing it, having the awareness of it, and being like, okay, curse reverse, like, boop-a-da-boop, and being very diligent about protecting myself, and paying attention to the things that had happened over the time, and paying attention to other things that have come to light since, and just like reminding myself of the things that I saw firsthand, and heard firsthand, and know firsthand. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm not crazy. Like, some people are just really that way, because I wouldn't do it to people. I would not. Even when they do it to me, I don't do it to them. Anything that people send my way, I will send back to them. That's on them. That's not on me, you know? And it's not like I'm like, send it back, like, ha ha ha. It's like, don't be dumb. 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 You may get away with it for a while, but it will come back. So don't be dumb, you know? Especially if you fuck with people. Like, this is another thing, expanding the dictionary. I've been watching somebody on TikTok, I think it's something Bodhi, okay? And I will share her on the board the next time I see one of her videos, but a lot of the things that she shares and says resonates, and it makes sense, and I'm like, yes. Like timeline jumping, you know, and again, that's something that, like, if you asked me years ago, I'd be like, no. I think I had like an inkling, because I've always kind of had an inkling for a lot of these concepts, but over time they became more like, oh, that's what that is, that's what that means, and that's why. And it's hard to explain these things to people because it doesn't maybe logically make sense, or it doesn't necessarily come in a dictionary, but your spiritual dictionary is going to encompass a lot of things. And the best way to do that and get that bigger and better is to learn from other people, to learn from your experiences, to look into more information, to find a mentor, to find somebody that, you know, is a few steps ahead of you, or has a little bit more experience than you, or is specializing in something else other than what you do. Because you're gonna, you know, like, learn from those people. You're gonna get more information from those people. Make it make sense for yourself too, though. Like, you're the sum of the 5 people you surround yourself with. If you're surrounding yourself with people that aren't doing anything, or not getting any better, or not even trying, then don't be surprised if your life starts to, like, you know, because you won't be inspired. Or, like I just said, in the cases where it's like, if you don't want to upset somebody, if you don't want, like, to do something that you think may make them feel badly because they didn't do it, well, then you're not really living your life to the best of your ability, and you're, you know, appeasing other people and people pleasing to the point of, like, that's really bad. So I know, and it comes down to, like, my own fault, like my own belief system of, like, worthiness and you know, being just like a pushover in the sense of, like, you know, and just, I think it's a combination of things. And that's again why, like, I could sit here and have this conversation with you, go through all these layers, but I don't necessarily want to. And also, it's something that has been brought about through that dictionary getting bigger. There's chapters that cover all of these things, and I've read them in books, and I've watched them in videos, and I've experienced them in my life, and I've had conversations with many people, and I've seen a lot of synchronicity, and I've seen a lot of things that's just like, there's no other explanation for whatever. You know, it's like, this is just what it is. This is real. Like, I can't doubt myself anymore, because your dictionary will stay very small if you doubt. And Spirit is always going to deliver to you the right word or the right definition based off of what you know. So, yeah, maybe your readings won't be as expansive in the beginning. But if you look at the color red and you're like, oh, that represents anger, and that's all you've got about it, you don't know, like, you're not connecting it to all the other things it could be connected to, that's okay. You could take that and be like, I'm sensing anger. And then maybe you get, like, a blue jay, okay? And whatever you take from the blue jay, could be the color blue, could be a blueberry, it could be whatever. It could be a blue ball, it could be a blue plane. We don't know. But if that's what your brain comes up with, you could be like, okay, I'm sensing some anger, and maybe like somebody was lost in a blue plane. Or somebody lost their blue plane. Like when they were a little kid, they lost their blue plane. And so they're angry about it. They're upset about it. That inner child has not healed that loss, that anger, that upset, feeling. And that literally could be it. Like that could be something going on. And it doesn't have to be elaborate for it to be good. It doesn't always have to be good for it to be good either. Because anger is one of those things that's like, people are like, ooh, it's healthy to have anger and to express anger. But if that kid had to suppress its anger when it lost the plane, like, shut up, it's not a big deal, don't be a baby, then they may be still holding on to that, and that could be impacting their relationships with their parents, or their kids, or other people, or planes, their fear of flying, they get, like, super angry, nobody can figure out what it is. Oh, it's because when they were 2, somebody lost their plane, and they were really super angry and couldn't show it, okay? So again, it doesn't have to be vast in the start for it to connect to vast concepts. And in the beginning, you take what you've got within your book and in your dictionary, and you trust Spirit is delivering you. Like the first message I ever delivered for a mediumship was literally seeing pencils rolling on a table or rolling on a desk, and I felt pain in my heart. The guy that I was reading for, his uncle was a school teacher and had passed away of a heart attack, and they had never had the time to say goodbye. And those two things were like the thing that led into it. So you see what I mean? Like it doesn't have to, and it definitely didn't make sense to me, those things. And I didn't, feel confident saying it. It was the first time that I was ever doing it. But when I did, it was like, oh my God, wow, I'm actually getting something. I'm actually doing it. Because it's hard for people with clear knowing to know that they actually know something. I think it may be easier for somebody with clairvoyance that they're actually seeing something or hearing something with the audient one, or to smell something, or to hear and, all, like, feel all of those things. So, like, my main one is knowing and then feeling. So, like, those two are the ones that guide me. Now, a lot of people think, oh, that must be amazing, but it's like, no. Because a lot of times, even when you know, and other people know that bitch always knows, there's still people out there, including yourself, who doubt what you know, because we can't, like, especially with future concepts, we can't know for sure until it's here, and it can change based off of our knowing now, because we're the creator of our reality, and everything is available in every moment, so it's like there's timelines that you can jump to, where it's like, oh yeah, that thing did happen, but finding out these things sometimes can help us to be like, let's not make that happen, let's avoid that, or, in another sense, it's just like, it is happening, it may just not be happening in the one that you're in, because every possibility does play out, every possibility is playing out, every possible timeline is existing, everything you've already done is coexisting, everything you ever will do is coexisting in the expansiveness of everything that is how I see it, okay? You could subscribe to a different belief system, that's fine. There's a lot of tests and things that have been looked through at the CIA, and like just all these things that's been, like, the FBI, all these, they do all this stuff, and they're finding out, like, oh wow, like, we really are in a simulation, we really are, in a multi-dimensional reality. There is dimensions, and there is, all of these things that we keep creating, because we keep theorizing about these things, and everything that we theorize, or we put out into the world, becomes something, and it could come into the reality very quickly and rapidly, or it could never come into your reality, if you don't believe in it, or if you don't allow for it, or if you cause too much resistance to it. And those are, again, things that you can expand within your dictionary, all of that wisdom and all of that knowledge, by connecting to your guides, practicing every day, trusting what you receive, and maybe actually make a book for yourself, like a book of shadows, is like people's spells and rituals and their notes and like what this herb does and what that thing is. I have that in a vast reservoir of information, all over the place for business stuff, for spiritual stuff, for self-help stuff, for PTSD, this, blah, 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 blah. I have it all. I have all the decks and all the messages within the decks. I have all the books. I have all these things that have helped me to learn. And then, again, in the beginning, I spent years just like, I was very grateful, very lucky. In this time, I didn't feel that way because I was not happy where I was. And I was trying to get out of there. But I was free to spend all that time watching videos, learning information, absorbing everything. It's like I went to college by myself because I came out with like a master's in all of the work that I needed to do to make my business, and all of the information about like our history and, you know, different things that have gone down with like mythology and just different places in the world, like the ancient architecture and anything that I was interested in that tied into this stuff to try to figure it out, blood types and boop-a-da-boop and healing modalities and shamanic traditions and the ways of the world and things over there and over there. It's like this vast information, so the book is very big and anybody can create that book. But you need to have that drive inside of you, and you have the excitement inside of you. You would also have to have some time with you. But if you're at work all day, like doing a manual job, you can listen to stuff. If you're driving to work, you can listen to audiobooks. And again, just practicing. Practice is going to be good for you. And I am going to be doing mystery school teaching on Sunday at 11 a.m. with the colors, the numbers, and all of that stuff. So you can get those more teachings. And then I will be doing more next month. I have the 3rd Sunday and the 4th Sunday that I do the mystery school teachings on. The 3rd is at night, and the 4th is at the daytime hours, okay? And I'm Eastern Standard Time here. I am also going to be rolling out some options for people to come stay on the weekend with me. And I think almost every weekend in August, I gotta double check it. I think it was August. It was like I could probably have people come stay where if you wanted to come learn a modality, you could do that. Or if you wanted to come and like do some business stuff, we could do that. I am going to write up a thing for that and show you like what type of things I could cover with you in that time that you're here. And again, this is something new that I'll be rolling out, so it's probably something that will adapt over time and I'll get to know it better as I do it. And I'll probably do like a much lower price point the first few times that I do it, based on the fact that like I'm figuring it out as I go in the concept of like what should we be offering to people, because everybody's at a different spot and everybody, you know, has things that they need. But I find over time that a lot of the same people, not even necessarily the same person, but a lot of the same frequencies come to me. It's like the people who are doing this, the people who feel this way, the people who are in that situation. And the membership that I have right now is also business related, but it's also like love related. It's also life related. It's also abundance related. It's all the things that I do. And my spiritual practice, my dictionary, is vast because I don't just do one thing. And everything I do is interconnected and interwoven. So that's something too that will vastly improve your dictionary, is if you're living your purpose in alignment with spirit, and you're doing the work, and you're walking the talk, and you're showing up for yourself, and you're expanding, and you're growing, and you're learning. And, you know, you keep doing that by absorbing more, and connecting with more, and taking opportunities, and investing in yourself, and doing all that stuff, and taking risks, because it's scary, you know. I'm going to be doing some fairs, too, so if you're in the area, or if you want to come into the area for when I do that, I'm going to be announcing that. I have everything written in the book for the next 3 months. I'm just building up myself to be like, okay, this is what we're going to do, and put it out there, and then let me know that they want to be a part of it, because this will be my first fair in person. So I'm going to be looking for vendors and readers and healers and people who want to come make some money that day. And yeah, so I'm excited. I keep catching myself with that, like, maybe I should just call it a small fair, and then that way it's like, it won't be overwhelming, but it's like, I'm doing that in the sense of like a protection of, well, what if not that many people want to come? You know what I mean? And that's, again, that awareness that comes through time and catching into yourself of what your triggers are, what your limitations are, what are your self-sabotaging traits, you know, what aren't you doing, what are you doing? Mark that in like, you should have the biggest section of your book, because whatever you go through, whatever you do, whoever you are, whatever lessons you learn, there's going to be people that come into your life at different times that are going to be reminders, that are going to be people you need to lead, that are going to be people that are going to trigger you and push you down like through more, or they're going to uplift you and rise you through stuff, even through the struggle. Some of the best people that we have in our lives are the ones that are going to push us the hardest, or wake us up the most, or get us to realize things that like we weren't going to realize on our own, or make us just become more aware and more elaborate within our lives, and our awareness, and our expansion, and our wisdom, and our knowledge, and our goals, and our achievements, and everything that we do. So that is this episode, or this part of Alcyone Light Healing. Thank you guys very much. The next one I will be doing is an activation to connect with spirit, and to connect with your spirit dictionary, and to like add energy into that. The next one after that is adding entries meditation. So even if you can't do the activation, there's going to be like a similar thing for everybody that's free, but it's adding entries. The first one is like connect with your spirit dictionary. Let's go see what's up in there. Let's connect with it. Let's figure it out. Let's like get used to doing that. The meditation is going to be, let's add some entries to your dictionary. So we're not going to do as an elaborate thing, as in like for the people who do the activation, but it's going to be something that will get you in there and help you to, you know, get that information and start building that book. So, you know, and try different things. Listen to stuff when you sleep at night. Do subconscious reprogramming. Do subliminals. Do anything that you can do that is going to uplift you or is going to expand your mind. Even if you're listening to stuff while you're asleep, your subconscious will receive it, it will download it. And again, like the other night, ringing ears, ringing ears, ringing ears. Those are receivings, those are energies, that's information, that's wisdom that's coming in from spirit. I may not know it in the moment. Same with the numbers. When the numbers come, I may not know it in the moment, but I do end up speaking it at some point. I know I do. I know it's connected. I just saw the Flower of Life when I closed my eyes saying that. So Flower of Life, it's all connected. All of this stuff is interconnected. This is literally sacred geometry. This is the first part of the stuff. You know what I mean? Like this, like there's the seed of life, and then there's the flower of life, and everything is interconnected. Everything is constantly spinning back to each other and growing from each other. You, me, everybody, consciousness, the evolution of everything. So yeah, you may also, we're going to be talking about the numbers on Sunday. You'll get like your base thing. But then from there, you should be growing your own understanding of it, which would grow through things like tarot, or things like, you know, playing with dice, or playing with something that has to do with numbers, because you're going to associate the numbers to maybe certain letters, or you're going to associate it to certain colors, or you're going to associate it to something specific in your dictionary as you experience life, and as you experience reading and writing and connecting and meditating and listening and healing and, you know, meeting with others. So no matter what it is, just be aware, and we will be activating and meditating with this concept very soon. Thank you very much. In Munay, namaste.